The galaxy was full of voices, voices of many alien races speaking in their own languages, sharing their ideas and dreams. But one thing was common in all their talks. They all laughed at humans. Humans were called reckless, violent, and foolish. The other races said humans were too emotional, too quick to fight, too stubborn to follow rules. And because of this, the Galactic Alliance had banned them. The ban was old, older than 100 years. It said humanity could never join the Council, never build warships beyond a certain size, and never spread far from their star, in the shining halls of the Alliance, filled with the scent of alien flowers and the echo of many feet. The leaders mocked humanity openly. They said Earth was a small blue rock, a world of savages, a world too young to be trusted. They laughed at human wars, showing old videos of Earth's battles as jokes. To the powerful alien empires, humans were a story told to make others smile. Remember the humans, some alien senators said, their words dripping with sarcasm. They tried to fly too far, but we had to save them from themselves. The chamber would fill with laughter, echoing off metal walls, yet outside the chambers, in the markets and streets of alien cities, whispers were different. Smugglers and travelers who had visited Earth said another story. They said humans were not weak. They said humans were dangerous in a way no one understood. Some told tales of human pilots flying ships that should not be able to move that fast. Some spoke of soldiers who fought until their last breath, refusing to surrender even against impossible odds. But these whispers were quickly silenced, drowned. Under laughter, aliens loved to make jokes about humanity's failures. They showed comedies on their holoscreens, plays where humans begged for help, movies where Earth exploded because of its own foolishness. Even children of alien races laughed, learning from a young age that humans were not to be feared but mocked. But behind all the laughter, there was something else, a shadow of unease, deep inside the chambers of the Alliance. A few old leaders remembered their first meeting with Earth. They remembered the look in human eyes that held both kindness and fire, eyes that refused to lower even when standing before fleets of greater power. They remembered this, but they never spoke of it, for to speak was to invite more laughter. On the trading worlds at the edge of the galaxy, merchants laughed at human goods, calling them cheap, but those same merchants bought the weapons secretly. They knew human steel was strong. They knew human ships were simple but built to endure. Even pirates respected Earth weapons, though they would never admit it. Still, the ban remained, and the mockery grew. Alien leaders called the ban a gift of mercy. They said humans should thank the Alliance because the ban protected Earth from itself, protected it from spreading too far and falling into ruin. And every time this was said, the chambers filled with laughter again. In the grand hall of the Alliance, under a ceiling that showed the stars of 1,000 worlds, another meeting began. Once more, humans were the joke. A lizard-skinned senator slammed his claw on the table and said, "Humans dream of warships, but look at them. They cannot even leave their own system without crying for fuel." The other senators roared with laughter. A feathered alien leaned back and added, "Ban them forever, it is safer, and besides, it makes for good entertainment." The laughter echoed. It traveled across channels, carried into the public networks. Soon the galaxy was laughing again, as if Earth was nothing more than a bad comedy. But not all were laughing. A few sat in silence, watching the senators. Watching the screens, a few remembered the rumors of something hidden, something humanity never showed. But when they tried to speak, they were drowned out, for no one wished to believe in human strength. It was easier to laugh, easier to mock. On Earth, the people heard the laughter. They saw the messages the Alliance sent. They saw their world being insulted again and again, on the news, on alien broadcasts, even on their own hacked channels. Humanity knew what the galaxy thought of them. Some grew bitter, some grew angry, but most stayed silent, working in shadows, waiting. And so the mockery continued. Year after year, the sound of alien laughter traveled faster than light, echoing across stars, yet behind the laughter was the beating of human hearts, steady and strong, a fire waiting to rise. The galaxy thought it knew humans. It thought humans were a joke. But the galaxy was wrong, very wrong, and soon it would not be. Laughter that filled the halls, but silence. The galaxy was loud with laughter. Aliens everywhere still mocking humanity after the last council meeting. But deep in the night of interstellar communication, something strange appeared. It began as a flicker on the Alliance network, a signal that did not belong. At first, the machines flagged it as a mistake, a broken stream. But when it repeated again, the machines allowed it through. The title flashed on the screens of millions of aliens, from humanity to the galaxy. At first, no one took it seriously. They thought it was another human protest, another attempt to cry about the ban. Merchants, soldiers, and children opened the file only to laugh before even seeing the content. But then the video began. The screen showed the surface of Earth, not the shining towers the aliens had seen in their travel books, but the ruins of old wars, battlefields filled with smoke, soldiers running through mud, humans covered in blood and fire, fighting each other with a madness that shocked even the hardest alien warriors. Many laughed. "See," they said, "this is why they are banned." Feathered aliens clapped their wings in humor, and metal-skinned ones clanked their claws on the floor in mock applause. But the video did not stop. It continued, and soon it showed something else. It showed starships, old human ships, clumsy and small compared to the giant fleets of the galaxy. The audience laughed louder. They mocked the tiny vessels, calling them space toys. Yet the laughter began to fade when the ships on screen fought. The humans attacked an enemy much larger than them. The ships exploded one after another, but still they pressed forward, even when burning. They rammed themselves into the enemy, tearing it apart. The room of alien watchers grew quiet. A few whispered, "Why would they fight like this?" But others shook their heads, saying, "It is madness, nothing more." Still, the seed of unease began to grow. The video shifted again, and this time it was not old history. It was not grainy or broken. It was sharp, real, alive. And what it showed made the galaxy freeze. A massive warship appeared on the screen, dark against the stars, larger than any human ship ever registered. In the Alliance records, its guns stretched like towers, its hull scarred but strong. And on the side was painted a name in bold white letters, UNS Vengeance. Gasps filled the alien halls. Scientists shouted that it must be fake, a trick of human editing. But then the ship powered up, reactors glowing bright, systems humming in ways no one could fake. The silence grew heavier. The video kept going. Ship after ship appeared, all human, all massive, all hidden from the galaxy's eyes. The designs were different. Sleek lines, heavy armor, deadly silhouettes. They looked nothing like the simple human ships the aliens mocked for so long. On every alien world, screens flickered with the same footage. In the markets, in the homes, in the command centers, billions watched in silence. Then the video revealed something even stranger. Hacked Alliance documents began to flash across the screen. Secret files, old council reports, each line showed the truth. The ban on humanity had not been for peace, not for safety. It was because the Alliance feared them. The Council had seen early signs of human creativity, human willpower, and decided to cut them off before they grew too strong. Now the aliens could not laugh. They sat frozen, staring at the words that confirmed their deepest fears. The humans had known all along. The video's voice finally spoke. A human voice, calm, steady, almost cold, it said. "You mocked us for centuries. You thought us weak, but we were watching, we were building, and we were waiting." The words cut through the galaxy like a blade. No one dared to speak. The silence after the voice was heavy. On distant planets, children stopped laughing and stared wide-eyed. Warriors clenched their fists. Merchants dropped their tools. Leaders of worlds sat frozen in shock. The laughter that once filled the stars had turned into whispers of fear. The video ended suddenly. No credits, no ending music, just black. But the silence it left was louder than any sound. In the Alliance chambers, the senators who once mocked humans now sat pale, their voices shaking. Some shouted that it was a trick, that humans could not have built such ships, but others whispered that it looked too real, too alive. And somewhere in the void, far beyond the reach of scanners, A fleet of human warships drifted in darkness, waiting. The galaxy could not sleep. The video from humanity had spread faster than any ship, faster than any rumor, and now every alien world was buzzing with fear. Some said it was fake. Some said it was propaganda, but no one could deny the unease that gripped the stars. In the high chambers of the Alliance, arguments erupted. Senators shouted over one another. The lizard-skinned senator pounded his claws. On the table, "It is a trick. Humans could never build such warships. The footage is lies," he cried. But his voice was shaky, his eyes wide. Others demanded investigation. They called for proof. They wanted scans of Earth's system. They wanted spies sent to confirm if the fleet was real. But before any orders were agreed upon, something happened. On the edge of the Alliance, near a lonely mining colony, a patrol fleet picked up a strange signal. At first they thought it was just noise, some broken communication. But then the images came. The patrol's long-range satellites had caught movement near Neptune, tiny glimmers of light where nothing should exist. The officers leaned forward, their screens showing shadows of shapes. Not asteroids, not natural, but crafted. The outlines of ships, massive ships. The captain of the patrol ship froze, his tentacled face pale. "Are we looking at—" His words trailed off. No one answered, but the silence on the bridge was heavy. The images were rushed back to the Alliance, and when they arrived, the Senate fell into chaos. The pictures matched the ships in the human video. It was no longer just a recording. This was real. This was live. The mocking laughter that once filled the council hall was gone, replaced by gasps and whispers. The feathered senator tried to laugh, saying, "It could be old wrecks, abandoned stations." But no one laughed with him. The chamber was too cold now. Then, as if to answer their doubts, the human video returned without warning. Screens across the galaxy lit up again. This time there was no pre-recorded speech, no old battles. It was live. The image showed a human admiral standing on the bridge of a warship, stars glowing behind. Him through thick glass, his face was calm, his eyes steady, his uniform dark. He spoke clearly. "You said our footage was lies, so now, see for yourselves." The admiral turned, and the camera followed. It showed windows opening to space, and there, drifting like giants, were fleets of human warships, row after row, their cannons silent but ready, their engines glowing softly like the eyes of predators waiting in the dark. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. The fleet stretched far, too many to count. Some large as cities, others sleek and sharp like blades, each one marked, with Earth symbols, each one alive. In the mining colonies, workers dropped their tools. In the military stations, commanders froze. Even pirates in hidden corners of the galaxy sat in silence. For the first time, everyone saw the truth. The video zoomed in on one warship. Its guns rotated slowly, its armor scarred from tests or battles, unseen. And then the admiral's voice returned. "You banned us, you mocked us, but we are still here, stronger than ever." The feed cut to black, and the galaxy erupted. Not in laughter, not in jokes, but in terror. Some screamed that war was coming. Some demanded peace talks at once. Some simply sat in silence, unable to believe what they had seen. On one distant world, a young alien asked his father, "Are humans going to conquer us?" The father, once proud and mocking humanity, had no answer. He only looked at the dark sky. The Alliance panicked. Ships were ordered to move near Earth. Scouts were sent. But already fear had spread too deep. Soldiers whispered among themselves that they would not stand against the humans, not after seeing such a fleet. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Neptune, the human fleet remained still, like hunters waiting in tall grass, not attacking, not moving, just watching. And somehow that silence was more terrifying than any war cry. Rumors spread faster than truth. Some said the humans had more fleets hidden beyond Pluto. Others said Earth had weapons that could shatter stars. And with every rumor, fear grew. The first shock had arrived. The galaxy could no longer mock. The ban was no longer a chain on humanity. It was a warning of what they had become. In the darkest corners of the Alliance, leaders met in secret. They spoke of desperate plans, but deep in their hearts, they all felt the same thing, the same cold truth. The humans had been underestimated. And the price for that mistake would be heavy. The laughter was gone, the galaxy had fallen into silence. And in that silence, the humans stood tall. The galaxy had changed overnight. Once the networks were filled with laughter at human weakness. But now the laughter was gone, replaced by silence, replaced by fear. In the crowded cities of alien worlds, giant holoscreens that once played comedies about humans now played the human fleet again and again. People stopped in the streets to stare, their eyes wide, their voices hushed. Mothers pulled their children close. Warriors clenched their weapons but said nothing. The image of human warships would not leave their minds. In the halls of the Alliance, the senators tried to speak with authority, but their voices shook. One shouted, "It is only numbers, the humans cannot match our technology." Another replied, "Then why do those ships move with engines we do not understand?" Their words fell into chaos, each leader afraid to admit what all of them felt. The fear spread quickly, faster than any ship, faster than any order. Whole planets whispered the same question. What will the humans do now? Merchants in spaceports, once eager to mock human traders, now refused to bargain. They whispered, instead, if we anger them, will they send one of their fleets? Smugglers who once laughed at Earth weapons now hoarded them in silence, kissing the steel as if it would protect them when the humans came. In schools, young aliens no longer laughed at human stories. Instead, they whispered them like ghost tales. A human never surrenders, they said. A human will fight until even their bones are broken. Children trembled at bedtime, asking their parents if the humans would arrive in the night sky. The soldiers of the Alliance were worse. Many had mocked human tactics, but now they replayed the videos in their bunkers, watching humans ramming burning ships into enemies, watching them march forward even while wounded. The soldiers began to wonder, could they fight such an enemy? Could anyone in the markets plays about humans were cancelled? Actors who once wore mock-human masks now hid in shame. Entire productions were shut down because no one laughed anymore. The audience only stared in silence, unsettled. On the outer colonies, fear turned to unrest. Some planets demanded to cut ties with the Alliance, they said. The ban brought this. The humans have been preparing because of your arrogance. Governors panicked, fearing rebellion. Inside the Alliance military councils, panic was rising. Admirals tried to rally their fleets, but reports came in of deserters, soldiers refusing to board ships, entire crews claiming they would not fight humans. Not them. Not after what we saw. They whispered. The senators who once mocked humans now sat in secret meetings, their faces pale, their voices low. They debated if they should send messages of peace, if they should lift the ban, but no one dared to make the first move. Fear held them like chains. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans watched, calm and silent. Their fleets remained hidden near Neptune. Their admirals made no speeches. Their soldiers made no boasts, the humans did nothing. And that silence made the fear even worse. Rumors filled the galaxy like fire. Some said the human fleet had weapons that could tear stars apart. Some said the humans had armies ready to invade. Others whispered that Earth had allies unknown, shadow races waiting in the void. With every rumor, the fear grew heavier. In taverns, pirates and mercenaries argued in whispers. We mocked them too long, now they will come for us. One pirate spat, but his eyes showed dread. Another said, no, they are waiting. They want us to destroy ourselves first. They drank in silence, no laughter, only fear. The Alliance tried to control the message. They ordered networks to stop showing the human video, but it was too late. Copies spread everywhere. Every child, every worker, every soldier had seen the fleet, had seen the human admiral's eyes. It was those eyes that haunted the galaxy most. Calm, steady, unbroken, the eyes of someone who did not fear, not anymore. On a crystal world, a group of scholars debated. One said, humans are only violent beasts. But another whispered, beasts do not build fleets in silence. Beasts do not wait for centuries without striking. They are something else. The others fell quiet, fear gnawing at their thoughts. The laughter that once united the galaxy now divided it. Races who once mocked together now looked at each other with suspicion, each wondering if their neighbor would betray them when the humans came. In the darkness of space, The human fleet remained still. No attacks, no threats, no declarations. But that silence was more terrifying than any battle because the galaxy understood something new. When humans were silent, they were planning. The fear became a living thing. It spread from world to world, from heart to heart, replacing every laugh with a whisper, replacing every joke with a shiver. The galaxy had mocked humanity for centuries, but now, every alien race knew the truth. The laughter was over. Fear had taken its place, and the silence of humanity was the loudest sound in the stars. The fear across the galaxy grew heavier with every passing day, and then, just as the Alliance tried to regain control, another human video appeared. It did not come with warning, no announcement, no signature. One moment the networks were filled with news of protests and riots, and the next, the screen went black. A single symbol appeared, the old flag of Earth, torn yet proud. And then the voice spoke. "Listen carefully," the human voice said, calm, quiet, but unshakable. "You laughed at us for centuries. You banned us. You called us beasts, but now you will hear the truth." The screen shifted, and this time it was not human ships, not old wars. It was Alliance documents, real and unedited, reports stolen from the highest council chambers. The first report appeared, stamped with the mark of secrecy dated centuries ago. It read, "Human potential is extreme. Their ability to adapt in battle exceeds projections. Their creativity with limited technology is dangerous. Recommendation: ban humanity from further expansion." Aliens everywhere gasped. In the council halls, senators froze. The documents were real. The codes and stamps could not be faked, only stolen. The next file showed recordings of early human contact, old meetings. When Earth first spoke with the Alliance, the aliens in the recordings laughed, mocking the humans even to their faces, but in the background, hidden lines of the report admitted something different. Their eyes show resistance. Their minds show dangerous independence. They may grow beyond our control. The video paused. The human voice spoke again. "You said it was for peace, but it was never peace. It was fear. Fear of what we could become." More files flashed, each worse than the last. Alliance scientists wrote, "Humans possess unique endurance. Their soldiers fight after fatal wounds. Their pilots fly beyond safe limits. Their hunger for survival is unmatched. They must be contained." The galaxy stared in silence. Billions watching the truth unfold. The ban had never been about weakness. It had always been about strength. One alien world, a mother whispered to her child. They feared the humans, not pitied them. The child looked up, eyes wide with terror. Then what happens now? The video continued, showing evidence of secret missions, Alliance fleets sent to monitor Earth in silence, sometimes even to sabotage. Explosions that once seemed like accidents on human ships were revealed as sabotage from the Council's orders. Documents showed bribes, spies, and lies. Aliens watching began to shout in anger, not at humans, but at their own leaders. Riots broke out in cities. Protesters screamed, you lied about Earth." In the chambers of the Alliance, senators panicked. Some demanded the networks be shut down, but it was too late. The truth was spreading faster than any command. Entire worlds now knew. "Biao," human voice returned, steady as before. "You mocked us to hide your fear. You banned us because you could not control us. You laughed because you were afraid to admit the truth, and so we prepared. We built in silence, and now the galaxy knows why." The video showed the fleets again, this time more clearly. Warships lined in formation, reactors burning like stars, and then, the most terrifying part came. The feed shifted to a live transmission. Alliance security cameras from the edge of Neptune, hacked and controlled by humans. It showed the hidden fleet in real time. No longer a rumor. No longer just a recording, human warships drifting silently, waiting. The galaxy shuddered, because this was proof beyond doubt. Humans had built what they were banned from building. They had done it in secret, right under the Alliance's eyes. The silence across billions of homes was heavy, as if the stars themselves had stopped shining. For a moment, then the voice spoke one last time. "You thought we were weak, but weakness is what you feared the most. Because weakness can be broken, but strength, true strength, cannot. Remember this, the age of laughter is over. The screen went black, leaving only the reflection of terrified faces staring into emptiness. On the alien worlds, riots grew worse. People turned against their leaders, demanding answers. Why did you lie? Why did you fear humans so much? Some shouted. What did you see in them that made you ban them? But no answers came. The leaders were silent, trapped by fear and shame. In the shadows of Earth's system, the human fleet did not move. Not a single ship fired. Not a single threat was spoken. But the silence of those ships was heavier than war, because now the galaxy knew the truth, and the truth was more frightening than any battle. The galaxy had seen enough to tremble. The files, the videos, the hacked cameras, all showed one truth. Humanity was not weak, not broken, not defeated, and yet the humans had still been silent, waiting. But silence could not last forever, and then without warning, the waiting ended. Across the Alliance networks, every screen flickered again. Cities went dark as if the stars themselves had blinked, and then light returned. The image of space, cold, endless, filled the screens. First only shadows were visible, vague outlines against the black. But then engines ignited one after another like the lighting of 1,000 suns, and the shadows became clear. Warships, human warships, rising from the darkness beyond Neptune. The sight froze the galaxy. These were not the old rusting cruisers aliens mocked. These were giants, armored like mountains, bristling with weapons that glowed with power, sleek destroyers that looked like blades. Carriers larger than cities. Dreadnoughts so vast they eclipsed the stars behind them. Billions of aliens watched from their homes, their marketplaces, their war rooms, the silence of their breath heavy. In the Alliance chamber, a senator whispered, "It cannot be." But the image did not vanish. It grew clearer, more terrifying. The human fleet was not a rumor anymore. It was real. It was alive. It was awakening. Row after row of ships drifted forward, their engines humming, their hulls shining with scars and fresh steel. They did not fire. They did not speak. They simply moved as one, like a predator stepping out of the shadows. The human admiral's voice returned, his tone calm, steady, like someone speaking to children. "You asked if our fleet was real. Now you see we have built what you forbade. We have built what you feared, and we are ready." On alien worlds, fear turned into panic. Cities shook with riots. People shouted that war was coming. Others prayed, whispering that maybe the humans would forgive, but none truly believed it. The ships kept coming, their numbers beyond counting. Frigates, cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts, all painted with names that echoed human history: vengeance, liberty, defiance, eternity, and more. Each name a reminder, each name a warning. The Alliance military scrambled. Fleets were ordered to the edges of Sol, but reports came back broken. "Our soldiers refuse to engage," one admiral said. "They will not fight them." Another report told of entire crews abandoning their posts. Fear stronger than loyalty. The galaxy had armies, yes, fleets larger than human numbers, but no will, no courage. Not after seeing humans rise from silence. In pirate dens, mercenaries stared at the screens with wide eyes. Some cursed, some laughed, nervously, but all knew. They would never face humans in battle, not willingly. In the academies, alien students sat frozen, their teachers unable to explain. One student asked, "Why did they wait so long?" And the teacher had no answer, because even the wisest of them could not understand the patience of humanity. The fleet moved into formation, perfect lines across the void. Their engines burned bright, their weapons hummed. The soundless weight of their presence crushed the galaxy. And still, the humans did not fire. They did not threaten. They simply showed themselves. It was worse than an attack, because fear of the unknown filled every corner of the galaxy. If humans had waited this long, what else were they waiting for? In the Alliance, one senator finally broke, shouting, "We must beg them, we must lift the ban at once before it is too late." Others roared in protest, but none truly believed their own words. Deep down, they knew it was already too late. On Earth, The people watched quietly. No cheering, no parades. Their faces calm, for they had always known this day would come. Humanity had prepared in shadows. Now their strength was revealed. On distant worlds, children no longer laughed at human stories. Instead, they whispered in fear. The humans are coming. The fleet loomed in silence, the greatest force the galaxy had ever seen. And yet, it did not move further. Not yet. It only waited. And the waiting was worse than war. Because the galaxy now understood, humanity did not need to attack. Their very existence was enough. Their awakening was enough. The silence of their fleet was louder than any weapon. The humans had awakened, and the galaxy would never laugh again. The galaxy held its breath. The human fleet hung in the darkness of space like a wall of iron, silent, unmoving but alive. Billions of alien eyes stared at the screens, waiting, fearing, praying. And then, the silence broke. The human admiral returned, his figure clear on every holoscreen across every world. He stood tall on the bridge of his ship, the stars burning behind him, his uniform dark, his face calm, his eyes sharp. His voice was steady, steady enough to make the galaxy shiver. For centuries you mocked us, he said, his tone neither loud nor soft but certain. You laughed, you banned us, you called us dangerous, you called us beasts, but all along, you feared us. His words echoed across worlds, in the chambers of the Alliance. Senators leaned forward, unable to look away on trading stations. Workers froze in silence in pirate dens. Hardened killers swallowed hard. Even in homes, families clutched each other tighter. You claimed the ban was mercy, the Admiral continued. You told your people it was for peace, but peace was a lie. It was fear. Fear of what we might become. Fear of what we already were. The screen behind him changed, showing flashes of human history. Wars fought against impossible odds. Soldiers refusing to surrender. Ships burning yet still charging forward. We endured, he said. You chained us. And we endured. You mocked us and we endured. You thought us weak, but you only gave us time, and in time we grew strong. In the council chambers, the feathered senator shook his head, muttering, They will declare war. This is it. But the Admiral's voice was calm, almost too calm. We did not rise today to declare war, he said, his eyes narrowing. We rose today to remind you of one truth. Humanity kneels to no one. The words struck like thunder. Billions felt their hearts pound, some in awe, others in dread. We do not seek your chains, the Admiral said. We do not seek your approval. We do not seek your mercy. We only seek the stars, and nothing you do can keep us from them. On alien worlds, protests turned into silence. Even the riots paused, all listening, all hearing the same truth. Behind the Admiral, the camera turned, showing the fleet once more, row after row of warships stretching across the void, their weapons silent but ready, their engines glowing softly. We built in silence, the Admiral said. We built what you forbade. We built what you feared, and now you see we are here, and we are ready. His voice did not rise. He did not shout, but every word felt heavier than any explosion. On one distant colony, a child whispered, Father, will they attack us? And the father answered with trembling lips, No, child, they don't need to. The Admiral's face returned to the screen, his eyes burning with quiet fire. We will not start this war, he said. But if you bring it to us, you will learn what it means to fight humanity. You will learn what it means to face a people who do not break, who do not surrender, who do not stop. The council chamber fell into silence. No one laughed, no one mocked. Their voices were gone, crushed by the weight of his words. We are humanity, the Admiral said. We are the children of Earth. We are the fire you tried to smother. And we are ready. The final image came. The fleet in full view, thousands of ships in perfect formation, their names glowing on their hulls, names of vengeance, of defiance, of survival. And then the message ended. The screens went black. No music, no threats, no promises, only silence. Across the galaxy, no one spoke. The silence was heavier than any weapon, heavier than any fleet. In that silence, everyone knew. Humanity had not declared war, but the galaxy would never mock them again. In the dark of space, the human fleet drifted silent and still, but its presence was louder than any declaration. The final message had been delivered, and the stars themselves seemed to listen. The galaxy had always been loud, full of voices, laughter, arguments, songs, the hum of countless worlds. But after the human admiral's final words, that noise was gone. On alien homeworlds, screens went dark. Families sat together in silence. No one dared to speak. Even children who once laughed at stories of humans now kept their lips closed, eyes wide. The silence stretched, heavy and endless. In the chambers of the Alliance, the senators stared at each other, their faces pale, their voices trapped in their throats. These were the same beings who once mocked humanity with jokes and laughter. Now not a single one could form a laugh, not even a nervous chuckle. Their mouths were dry, their hearts heavy. For the first time in living memory, the Galactic Council did not end in noise, no shouting, no speeches, only silence. The markets of the great trade worlds stood still. Merchants who once yelled prices now stood at their stalls in quiet fear. Smugglers who once mocked Earth's crude weapons now touched them with reverence. Pirates who once sang songs of plunder now whispered, "If the humans come, we will not resist." In the academies, lessons stopped. Teachers stood frozen before classes, their words useless. What could they say? How could they explain? The galaxy had spent centuries laughing at humanity. But now the galaxy was silent, and silence was worse than any weapon. On military stations, soldiers stared at their monitors. The images of the human fleet burned into their minds. Captains gave no orders. Admirals spoke no commands. Some soldiers whispered that they should prepare for war, but most simply lowered their heads, knowing that if war came, they would not win. In the far colonies, riots ended. Protests died down, because now everyone was listening to the same silence. It echoed from one world to the next, one system to the next. Even the pirates, the mercenaries, the killers of the dark sat in quiet thought. Their laughter gone, replaced with the same truth. Humanity had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same. The silence was not peace. It was not comfort. It was fear, respect, awe, all mixed together. A silence that pressed on every chest, on every heart. The Alliance tried to send messages, to control the story, but no one listened, because no message mattered now. Only the human fleet mattered, and the humans, they said nothing. They moved nothing. Their warships drifted beyond Neptune, silent, watching, waiting. Their silence was their weapon. Their silence was their victory. On Earth, the people continued their lives, working, training, building. They did not shout, they did not boast, they did not need to, because the galaxy itself now carried their message. Children of alien worlds no longer dreamed of mocking humans, they dreamed of surviving them. In bedtime stories, the heroes were no longer alien warriors, but humans, stubborn, unyielding, terrifying. The very word human had changed. Once a joke, now a warning. On the Alliance's capital world, statues of alien leaders stood tall, once proud, but now citizens spat at them in anger, shouting, "You lied to us!" They demanded answers, demanded to know why the humans were banned, demanded to know why the truth had been hidden. But the leaders gave no answers, for they had none. The silence across the stars was not empty. It was full of fear, full of tension, full of the weight of history. And in that silence, the galaxy began to understand. Humanity had never declared war. Humanity had never needed to. Their message had been enough. One video, one fleet, one truth. It had ended centuries of laughter. It had ended arrogance. It had ended mockery. Now only silence remained, and in that silence, respect was born. Grudging, bitter, but real. Because the galaxy had learned, humanity was not weak, not broken, not a joke. Humanity was something else entirely, something the galaxy could no longer deny. They had mocked humanity's ban, laughed at Earth, ridiculed their struggles. But now, The laughter was gone. The stars themselves seemed to have fallen quiet, and the silence was eternal. In the shadows of Neptune, the human fleet remained still, engines glowing like watching eyes, ships waiting like giants, and though they fired no shot, they had already won. The galaxy was silent, and silence was the sound of humanity's triumph.